Saved by the Bell was once a dazzling teen icon, where the smiles and friendships at Bayside High left a deep impression on viewers. But behind the spotlight, many stars passed away in heartbreaking tragedies, from cruel illnesses to shocking scandals, that left fans in disbelief. Let's uncover the cruel fates of the actors who made this show legendary and honor what they left behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go. Dustin Diamond as Samuel Screech Powers. Dustin Neil Diamond, born on January 7, 1977 in San Jose, California, was one of America's most prominent child stars of the 1990s. When he was 12 years old, he landed the role of Samuel Screech Powers on Saved by the Bell, a character forever tied to the childhoods of millions. Screech was the loyal, awkward, but lovable friend who pined hopelessly for Lisa Turtle and served as the comedic wild card of the Bayside High gang. Dustin played the role for 13 years, but that very image became a haunting shadow over his real life. When the lights faded, Dustin began a fierce battle with his own past. Few would have guessed that behind his goofy grin on TV was a string of painful failures. In 2001, he filed for bankruptcy. By 2006, he resorted to selling T-shirts reading, "I paid $15 to save Screech's house," in a desperate attempt to save his home. But these efforts only underscored one truth. His life had veered far off track. Things took a darker turn when he tried to reclaim fame through shock tactics. In 2006, he released a sex tape titled Screeched, saved by the smell to cash in on his former fame, then denied being the person in the video, blaming a stunt double. In 2009, his tell-all memoir Behind the Bell further alienated him from his co-stars by revealing behind-the-scenes drama, though he later admitted much of it was ghost-written and exaggerated. Dustin's personal life was also tinged with sadness. His longtime relationship with Jennifer Misner quietly ended without marriage or children. In 2014, he was arrested after stabbing a man during a bar fight and served 4 months in jail, a steep fall for an already damaged public image. Though he attempted comebacks via reality TV, most appearances ended in controversy or conflict. In his final years, he lived quietly with unstable finances, and his net worth dwindled to around $300,000. In January 2021, Dustin was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. The disease progressed rapidly, and just 3 weeks later, on February 1, 2021, he passed away in Florida when he was 44 years old. Dustin's death closed a chapter filled with tragedy and served as a bitter reminder of how fragile the line between fame and reality can be. Kasem as himself. Kasem, born on April 27, 1932 in Detroit, Michigan, was an immortal icon of American radio in the 20th century. When he was 57 years old, he appeared on Saved by the Bell, 1989, as himself, hosting a dance contest at the Max. Though his appearance was brief, his warm, deep voice and calm charisma brought the same energy that made American Top 40 legendary. It seemed he would end his life bathed in love and respect, but his final years were overshadowed by illness and bitter family conflict. After being diagnosed with Parkinson's and later Lewy body dementia, Kasem gradually lost his ability to speak, remember, and care for himself. His rapid decline left him completely dependent, and tragically, instead of uniting at his bedside, his family fractured. His wife, Kasem, was accused by his children from a previous marriage of blocking their access to their father, sparking public protests and a long legal battle that dragged the once-beloved DJ into a grim media circus. Tensions escalated when Jean secretly removed Casey from a care facility, prompting the court to issue a search order. When he was found in Washington, his condition had severely worsened. In his final days, Kasem could no longer respond to artificial food or hydration. Although he had expressed his wish not to be kept alive in a vegetative state, The decision to withdraw life support sparked fierce conflict between his wife and daughter, Carrie. Ultimately, the court sided with Carrie, and with her consent, Kasem passed away peacefully on June 15, 2014, when he was 82 years old, due to sepsis from prolonged bed sores. Even after his death, the fighting did not stop. His wife had his body moved out of the U.S. and buried in Oslo, Norway, completely against his stated wish to be laid to rest at Forest Lawn, California. His children sued Kasem for suspected abuse and emotional distress, but the case ended in a settlement after years of investigation. Over a career spanning more than half a century, from radio to voice acting and television, Kasem accumulated an estimated net worth of $80 million, a testament to his relentless dedication, work ethic, and talent. But money was never a shield against family tragedy. And perhaps the most heartbreaking part is that a music legend died amid endless disputes from the people who once loved him most. Mark Blankfield as James. Mark Blankfield was born on May 8, 1950. When he was 40 years old, he appeared in Saved by the Bell, 1990, as James, a quirky comedic character who supported the students of Bayside in the most unexpected ways. James helped define the show's trademark humor, much like the unique energy Blankfield brought to every role he played. Though his comedy career peaked in the early 1980s with the sketch show Fridays and movies like Jekyll and Hyde, Together Again, and Robin Hood, Men in Tights, the spotlight began to fade as he became typecast in eccentric roles. Few knew that Blankfield struggled with feelings of being forgotten and isolated in the very industry to which he had devoted his heart and mind. He never married, had no children, and lived most of his life in complete privacy. In later years, he made only scattered appearances in supporting roles on shows like Arrested Development, The Jamie Foxx Show, and Double Rush. But none brought about a career resurgence. The constant cycle of unemployment and being pigeonholed as a one-note actor took a toll on his mental health. Loved ones revealed he experienced long bouts of depression, especially when watching his peers get honored while he remained remembered only as that funny, crazy guy from the past. Over time, his income from the arts dried up, and by the time he passed away on March 20th, 2024, his net worth was estimated at just $500,000, a modest sum considering the decades he gave to the stage and screen. Jack Angelus as Mr. Tuttle. Jack Angelus, born John Joseph Cangilos, was born on April 7, 1950, in Albany, New York. When he was 39 years old, he appeared in Saved by the Bell, 1989, as Mr. Tuttle, the choir, music, and driver's ed teacher at Bayside High. With his quirky appearance, unique voice, and endearing awkwardness, he became one of the show's most beloved faculty characters, known for his sincerity and charm. Behind the cheerful on-screen persona was a life filled with challenges. Born into a Greek-American family, Jack was an academic star, valedictorian, prestigious scholarships, and eventually a federal attorney. Yet the crushing expectations and intensity of the legal world drove him into a long period of career crisis. Though he worked at top law firms and even taught at Pepperdine, he felt alienated by the legal system. At one point, he left New York in search of meaning and renewal in California. His pivot to acting never yielded a breakout moment. Supporting roles in Growing Pains, Falcon Crest, and Death Dreams brought fleeting recognition. On May 2, 2009, Jack Angelus passed away after a brief hospitalization. He was 59 years old. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $500,000, a figure reflecting a life neither glamorous nor loud, but quietly sustained by intellect and quiet dedication. Luan Gideon as Mrs. Becky Belding. Luan Gideon was born on November 12, 1955, in Erath County, Texas. When she was 37 years old, she appeared in Saved by the Bell, 1992, as Becky Belding, the sweet wife of Principal Belding, who famously went into labor at Bayside High, delivering one of the show's most unexpected and funny moments. Though brief, her performance brought charm and warmth, giving life to a minor character remembered fondly by fans. Best known for her villainous role as Danielle Atron on The Secret World of Alex Mack, Luan was in reality a soft-spoken, resilient woman. Before making it in Hollywood, she had wandered through Europe and Asia as a jazz singer, pursuing her craft with faith rather than fame. Returning to the U.S. to study communications, her acting career didn't truly take off until she was well into her 30s, much later than many peers. She once said that in an industry where youth is currency, she chose perseverance and intellect as her capital. The true storm hit in 2009 when Luan was diagnosed with breast cancer. She paused her television career, left Los Angeles, and moved to the quiet Blue Ridge Mountains, where no one cared about red carpets or name recognition. There, she kept writing for theater and started a new chapter with her longtime partner, producer Walt Borchers. They married in 2011 in a cozy ceremony by Lake Como, Italy, officiated by close friend Brian Cranston. But happiness was brief. The cancer returned in late 2013, more aggressive than before, and hope slowly faded. Luan passed away on February 3, 2014, when she was 58 years old, surrounded by loved ones. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at about $500,000, a humble figure for a life devoted to her craft. Hyram Casten as Mr. Phelps. Hyram Casten was born on October 30, 1952, in the Bronx, New York. He appeared in Saved by the Bell in 1991 as Mr. Phelps, a strict yet witty teacher at Bayside High. When he was 39 years old, Casten had already built over a decade of experience in stand-up comedy, having been discovered by Jerry Seinfeld at a comic strip audition in 1978. He became a fixture of New York and later Las Vegas comedy circuits, regularly performing in casinos and starring in The Rat Pack is Back. Yet behind the laughter were years of quiet suffering. Hyram battled Crohn's disease, a chronic inflammatory bowel condition, and later prostate cancer, which weakened him significantly in his later years. His greatest support came from his wife, Diana Kisiel, whom he married in 1986. They remained together for 38 years, right up to his final breath. Hyram often said Diana's patience and optimism pulled him back from the edge during the darkest moments of illness. The couple had one daughter, Millicent, and he took great pride in being, in his own words, a dad who wasn't famous, but was always there. Hyram Casten passed away on June 16, 2024, in Batavia, New York, just one day after their final wedding anniversary. He was 72 years old. His passing was quiet but left a deep ache for loved ones and fans who appreciated his roles in Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Everybody Loves Raymond, and more. His net worth at death was approximately $500,000, a humble sum compared to A-list stars, but a fitting reflection of an artist who lived modestly, gave consistently, and always knew how to make people smile through even the hardest moments. Avery Shriber as Dr. M.T.Z. Avery Shriber was born on April 9, 1935 in Chicago, Illinois. When he was 54 years old, he appeared in Saved by the Bell, 1989, as Dr. M.T.Z., a flamboyant and humorous drama teacher. The role was short but memorable, infused with the theatrical flair that defined his stage presence. Behind the laughs was a man who had devoted decades to comedy. He rose from the Second City improv troupe to national fame with the comedy duo Burns and Shriber. Their taxicab sketch made him a familiar face across American television in the 60s and 70s. But the pressure to stay fresh eventually strained their partnership, which ended in 1968 when Shriber admitted he had lost his spark. Off-stage, he was a devoted husband to Rochelle Isaacs for 40 years, a rare love story in show business. Together, they raised 2 children, Jenny and Joshua, in a home rooted in warmth despite the glare of public life. Shriber's personal life grew more difficult after 1994 when he suffered a severe heart attack caused by diabetes complications. Though he survived a triple bypass, his health never fully recovered. The following years saw a gradual retreat from performance, limited to teaching theater classes in Los Angeles. For someone who once lit up Broadway and national TV, the physical decline was painful, but Shriber kept his humor and kindness until the end. He passed away from a second heart attack on January 7, 2002, at the age of 66. His ashes were returned to his family, just as he had quietly turned away from the spotlight to become a dedicated father and husband. His net worth at the time was around $1 million, mostly from Doritos commercials, hit comedy specials, and stage directing. Though not a Hollywood millionaire, Avery Shriber's artistic legacy remains immeasurable. Bunny Summers as Mrs. Cummings. Bunny Summers, born Bernice Siegel on February 23, 1924, in Brooklyn, New York, appeared in Saved by the Bell in 1989 when she was 65 years old. She played Mrs. Cummings, an elderly character who brought warmth and comfort to Bayside's school environment. Though featured in just one episode, her gentle presence became a soft-spoken symbol of kindness for viewers. Off-screen, her life had many ups and downs. Bunny married Benjamin Sussman, a former U.S. and the two stayed together for 58 years until his death in 2003. His passing was a devastating blow that left her heartbroken. They had 3 children, and she lived out her later years quietly with her family in California, stepping away from the spotlight. Throughout her life, Bunny was known by colleagues and friends as gracious, professional, and deeply committed to her work. She passed away on September 9, 2010, in Woodland Hills, California, at the age of 86. At the time of her passing, her net worth was estimated at $500,000, a modest sum by Hollywood standards. The stars of Saved by the Bell left behind unforgettable legacies, but the tragedies they faced continue to shock and move us. Which character touched your heart the most, and which story left a lasting impression? Share your thoughts in the comments, and join us in honoring these remarkable legends.